Alright guys, welcome to week 2 of our treatment protocol for thoracic kyphosis and Sherman's disease. You should be feeling a little more comfortable now maintaining that nice upright position. Remembering to get that, our shoulder blades are going to go up and back, middle finger ends up at the seam of the pants, and a gentle bend in the knees. Remember, you may be feeling some muscle soreness between the shoulder blades and along the length of the spine. That's okay, it's normal. Your muscles are getting stronger and they're adaptively shortening, which means we're creating tension between the shoulder blades so that it's easier for you to maintain this upright position. Our second piece of homework was every day spending 5 minutes on the foam roll or laying down on the floor, remembering that the purpose of this exercise is to lengthen the muscles across the front of the chest because they shorten typically with this forward position or passive posture. So 5 minutes on the roll each day. You should be feeling less of a stretch as well as those muscles elongate. The third piece was proper breathing technique. And again, we're allowing our rib cage to elevate. This puts us into that active position. And then when we exhale, we're not slumping down. We're keeping that nice upright position, focusing on that during the day. So in week 2, our goals are going to be discovering how to sit at our desk or chair properly to promote that active and best posture position. The second piece is a progression on the foam roll. And our third piece, we're going to start building strength across the shoulders and mid-back with an overhead press. Homework piece number 1. We're going to work on maintaining a best position while we're sitting. If you think about the number of hours each day we spend in a seated position, eating meals, driving to work, sitting at work, it's a lot of hours, and the better position you can be in, the better your posture and back health is going to be. What happens typically for chairs is the armrests are too low. So you notice if I slide my hips to the back of the seat and sit up nice and tall, the space from my elbow to that armrest becomes a problem. Because to overcome that, what we typically do is dump the shoulders or slump through the back. This is putting me into that kyphosis, that excessive kyphosis position, which again tightens up the muscles across the front of my chest. It's rounding my mid-back. I'm not breathing properly. Okay, so we want to fix that. And the way we do it is by adjusting the chair if you can. So the first thing we want to do is slide the hips right to the back of the chair. Feel your back press against the backrest. It's called a backrest for a reason. Also, think about this in your car when you're driving. Use the headrest. Okay, it's called a headrest for a reason. You're supposed to rest your head on that support. And when you do, it gets your spine in this nice upright, health-promoting position. So back to our office chair. If you sit up nice and tall, have the elbows at 90 degrees, and you feel that gap there, what you want to do if the arms are adjustable is raise them up so that it's meeting the elbow and helping support you in that nice upright position. The other thing that typically happens, especially when we are focused on a task, so if you're working on something challenging at work, we don't move much, and we tend to get sucked into the computer screen. So if it's a challenging task, we won't move around a lot as far as shifting position, and then we get sucked into the computer screen. So you notice as I'm leaning forward here, I'm into this forward head position, my shoulders are tipped, and I'm in this excessive kyphosis again. The issue is, as we do this over the course of the day, we're going to sort of flex farther and farther and farther. So the same principle applies here that we're using for stretching the chest on the foam roll. The more time you spend in a position, the more stretch you get. The more time I spend in a poor position, the more stretch I get into that poor position. It actually gets harder to overcome into that best position that we're going for. So what I'd like you to do is move your workstation as close to you as possible. So for me, this is a poor setup for my laptop. I'd want to bring it in closer to me so that now I can maintain this nice active position, keep my shoulder blades up and back in the seat, rest my hands on the laptop, and then I can type away and not let myself get sucked into the screen. You have to pay attention to this over the course of the day. Even if you set up a little sort of beeper that'll beep at you every 20-30 minutes to remind you to get up straight and tall over the course of the day. So again, when you're sitting down, even at the dinner table for a meal, you want to sit up nice and tall, keep the shoulders active, don't get stuck over the plate. When you're driving, use the headrest in your car. When you're at your computer station at work, you want to raise the armrest in the chair up so that they're supporting you in this active position, and bring your workstation as close to you as you can. So same thing, even if I have a phone at my desk, you don't want to have to reach into it. Ideally, you bring it as close to you as possible so you can grab it from this active position and get your work done during the day while maintaining this good upright posture. All right, homework piece number 2 this week, we're going to be progressing our stretch on the foam roll. So remembering from last week, we started at 90 degrees. My tailbone is at the bottom end of the roll, and my head is at the top. If you had to use books underneath the back of your head, you should be trying to remove books and progressing your head down to the foam roll. So same thing applies if you don't have a foam roll and you're doing it on the floor. Okay, so we started at 90 degrees, and this week we're going to be progressing it. We're going to be bringing our arms up higher, and what we want is an additional 30 to 40 degrees. This should intensify the stretch and pull across the front of the chest. And remembering again, this is the opposite of where we were on the desk and sort of texting on the phone or driving. We're opening up the front of the chest, palms facing the ceiling. This is going to be 5 minutes every day. So if you can't quite get there yet, that's okay. What we want to do though is start progressing the arms upwards. So any progress is good. So moving up from that 90 degrees, again remembering if your hands are going numb, we're just going to drop them down until the sensation returns and then bring them back up onto that stretch. We're going to hit a total of 5 minutes. That's going to be every day. All right, homework piece number 3 for this week. If you're going to be sitting for a prolonged period of time, we're going to cut it off at 30 minutes. So every 30 minutes, if you're an office or desk worker, I'd like you to stand up out of the chair. You don't have to leave your workstation, just stand up. We're going to press the arms right overhead, palms facing each other, arms overhead, and take a big breath in. Feel the rib cage elevate, which means it raises up. So a big breath in. As we exhale, my arms come down to the side, middle finger ends at the seam of the pants. Remember, we're finishing in this active position. We're going to do that 3 times every 30 minutes of sitting. So again, palms facing each other. The reason we have our palms facing each other is it puts our shoulders into what's called external rotation. This is basically the most powerful position for your shoulder. I'm going to press them up into the ceiling, lock out the elbow, big breath in. As I exhale, arms come down, middle finger ends up at the seam of my pants. In this end position, when my elbows are locked out and I've filled my lungs with air, I've extended, which basically means elevated my entire spine. So this is the opposite of that excessive kyphosis, that passive position that we're trying to get rid of with this treatment protocol. So arms straight up, elbows locked out, big breath in, back down, and that'll be 3 times every 30 minutes. So for example, if you're driving, taking a road trip, or you have a long commute to work, it may not be possible to get out of your car every 30 minutes. Focus on though using the headrest, and then when you get to work or your destination, as you get out of the car, a couple of reps, 3 times, up overhead, big breath in, and then exhale. And basically what that does is it resets the tissues in the spine. So we're getting out of that flexed forward position, getting you back into that powerful, upright, active posture. All right, week 2 wrap up. Homework now, we're working on active posture in standing and in sitting. So at work, remember, we're bringing the workstation as close to us as possible so we don't have to reach and dump into that poor position. We want to adjust the armrest if you can. Bring them up as high as you can so that they're promoting this posture, this upright position. The armrest should be meeting the elbow and allow us to maintain the active shoulder position. Do that in the car as well if you're able to adjust the armrest or center console. Again, also using the headrest in the car, we're promoting this active upright posture. Homework piece number 2, we're going to be progressing the stretch on the foam roll from 90 degrees upwards of 30 to 40 degrees. Again, if you can't quite get there yet, that's fine, as long as we are progressing a little bit. This is the direction we're heading. The higher the arms go, the more stretch we get across the chest. Again, this is the opposite of where we tend to get stuck when we're driving, eating, texting. We're going to go in the opposite direction, open up the front of the chest, promote that breathing pattern. That's homework piece number 3, focusing on breathing as well as not sitting for more than 30 minutes. So if you know you're going to be at a desk or at a computer for longer than 30 minutes, every half hour you're going to stand up, press the hands right overhead, locking out the elbows, palms facing each other, and taking that big breath in. You see my rib cage elevate, and when you do this, you should feel the muscles contracting along the length of the spine and between the shoulder blades. So big breath in. As I lower my arms down and exhale, I end up in this nice active position. So I'm always coming back to this best position. A really interesting study came out. It was posted in an online Time magazine article. They did this study at Columbia and Harvard, and they actually looked at the effect of posture on people's level of growth hormone and cortisol. So really interesting, they found that people with what they called power postures, so this active position we're talking about, upright standing, hands on the hips, or hands behind the head with your legs sort of stretched out and sitting, versus a closed down, tipped forward, slumped forward position. They actually measured these levels of hormone in people's saliva, and what they found was that growth hormone was elevated in people that maintain these nice upright power positions. And this is interesting because growth hormone is a builder and sort of health promoter. Cortisol is a stress hormone, and you don't want a lot of that pumping around in your blood. So this is really interesting, and it relates back to Sherman's disease and the effect of changing the shape in your bone. So cortisol is a stress hormone and actually accelerates bone loss. And what they found was that people with this slumped position produced more cortisol. So what we want to be doing is, by maintaining this upright active position, we're decreasing cortisol levels, increasing testosterone, promoting health and vitality, and eliminating the effects associated with excessive kyphosis and poor posture. So guys, this is powerful stuff. Stick with it, stick with this protocol, and we'll see you for week 3.